Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lyra and today's video is going to be a big one. It is going to be a baby registry video of absolutely everything, and I mean everything that you need. Say you're a first time mom and you're feeling really overwhelmed and you're like, where do I start? Or you might just be having a look, you're not even expecting, you're just keen to see all the things that are required to keep a baby. This is your video. So come and grab a coffee or some water if you have shortness of breath like me, and let's get into it. In order to look after a baby, you have to have these 6 things when you come home from the hospital that keeps the baby alive. So first, you need your baby to be able to sleep. You need to be able to clothe your baby. You need to be able to transport your baby. You need to be able to place your baby somewhere for this baby to lay or to rest or to play. You then need to be able to feed your baby, obviously, and you also need to be able to bathe your baby. The other thing that you also need, if you are being, I guess, excessive and just want absolutely everything, is a nursery. So we're also going to take you through absolutely everything you will need for that. So let's get into it. Okay, first we are going to go through the nursery / sleep category. For your nursery, you are going to need a bassinet for the first 6 months. You're going to also need a crib. Your options for your bassinet are a bassinet, your traditional old bassinet like a Sanu, which is obviously very bougie, or just like a plain old bassinet from Kmart or Target that you scoop the baby out of to put on your breast. However, you also have the option of a co-sleeper. Now, I highly recommend that on your baby registry you ask for a co-sleeper rather than a bassinet. Why? Because a bassinet is a lot harder and harsher on your body to pick the baby up, to feed them, clothe them, whatever, than a co-sleeper. A co-sleeper has the option of being like right next to your bed, and you can unzip a co-sleeper or like unlatch a co-sleeper and have the baby laying with no barrier between you and the baby, so the baby can be comforted that way. Or you have the option of like having it zipped up or latched up, so the baby can be nice and safe and closed off. If you are interested in a co-sleeper, I have reviewed this news pod on my channel. It is the most popular co-sleeper, I think, or from what I've seen, it definitely is. So jump on and have a look at that if you're interested in that. All right, so you're also going to need a bassinet, a set of bassinet sheets and a set of cot sheets, and I also highly recommend getting a mattress protector or some sort of liner to go underneath, because of the amount of times that baby does vomit and that you're going to be needing to wash and disinfect that mattress. I personally did not have a mattress protector. I personally have just those like dry night liners that you can buy from like your grocery store, and I place that underneath the sheet and then I pop the sheet over the top. So that is really helpful at making sure that all the stains from babies' vomits or whatever they do in there doesn't seep through. You are also going to need a change table. Now, a change table is one option, or you can have a set of drawers with a change pad on it. Now, I prefer the set of drawer option with a change pad on it because you can fit way more things in there. It's less flimsy, and my personal suggestion is just to get a big piece of furniture that you like using that you can put a change pad onto, and then after the baby gets older and when you don't need to use it for that purpose anymore, you can repurpose it in the lounge room. That is personally what we did. So I actually had a set of change drawers and a specific change table, and then I also had a longer set of drawers that I put a change table on, a change pad on, and I ended up just using that like large set of drawers in a media room after my son was done with it and after we didn't need to store anything in there for the baby. Now for the smaller things in the nurseries. One thing that's always a really good thing to put on your baby registry, because it can be quite an inexpensive option for people, like say people really want to get you something, they don't know how to contribute, is definitely lots of blankets that you like for the baby. Now, babies need to stay nice and warm, and so your blankets will vary. I have blankets that are really thick. I have blankets that are like a quilt, like a full-on quilt cover, but a miniature version for the cot. I have blankets that are like teeny tiny and thin for summer, just because where we live the temperature fluctuates so much, so blankets are always a really good option. Another really bougie option for your cot, if you like, is to ask for a cot barrier. A cot barrier is a soft surround that goes into the cot and it protects the baby from like bumping its head and stuff like that. I'll show you what it looks like somewhere here. It is totally not necessary, but it is just a nice bougie option, and if you're wanting something like that, it just kind of elevates a nursery space as well. So if you're wanting something like that, you could try and pop it on your baby registry. The next thing we're going to talk about is you have your change table. Now, what do you do with your poos? So you're gonna need some sort of nappy bin. That is really highly a recommendation of mine, is to get a specific nappy bin. Not one that not just like a normal bin, but a baby specific bin. The difference is that a baby specific nappy bin traps all the smells and it makes a huge difference. The other very bougie nursery item that I personally don't even have, and I don't know, I kind of regret not having this item, is a glider or some sort of nursery chair that is really nice and comfortable for you to sit and nurse the baby in. Again, like I don't have this, I just know because my son slept next to me for a really long time, but it is something that is always an option, and I know that breastfeeding, like I could have so used that in the early stages. It would have been really, really handy. The other items that are really nice to have in your nursery, but again non-essential, are a diffuser and a some sort of white noise machine. Now, I personally love the Ergo Pouch white noise machine. It is a portable white noise machine that we actually have, just have been using as the normal white noise machine for the baby. I'm gonna get a second one for baby number 2. It's really, really good. Just make sure that when you do request a white noise machine on your baby registry, you have one that is rechargeable, because if you don't have a rechargeable white noise machine, I've heard so many people complain about the battery situation of constantly having to replace batteries, and that's just like something that's really, really annoying. So yeah, I recommend a rechargeable white noise machine. And if you live in a cold climate, I really recommend a humidifier, and not one of those little tiny diffusers, but like a really strong humidifier that you would use if you are sick, and placing that in the corner of baby's room just makes that room really nice and steamy and smell good, and yeah, it's just really nice. But if you're also just interested in making the baby nursery smell nice, then you could just get a regular diffuser, or request a regular diffuser on your baby registry. But again, in my opinion, the diffuser and the white noise machine aren't very necessary. They're just really nice cherries on top. If you're having to put the baby in a baby nursery, in a nursery from day one, I recommend that you have a look at your lighting situation. So are the lights are the lights in the room very bright and non-dimmable? If the answer is yes, I recommend getting a night light. So what I have actually done for my first baby, that obviously I'll be doing for this next baby as well, is change all of the lights. So change all of the bedside lights to a dark blue light, so that when you go and wake up in the middle of the night to feed baby, you don't have to, I guess, it's non-invasive for them. You don't really wake them up. They're still drowsy. So it's a really good alternative to turning the lights on, or turning a yellow light on that can be quite harsh and bright and make it really difficult for the baby to go back to sleep. Likewise, you can also just buy a nightlight. Moving on from the nursery, the next thing I'm going to be talking about is transporting your baby. Now, this is a category where I personally would have loved and did love when my grandparents, or sorry, my parents or my partner's parents contributed a lot of their money to this and helped us out, because it was really a huge help. Transportation, in my opinion, is like, you just can't compromise on safety, and so it is very important to sort out, first of all, a safe car seat. Personally, I love the Nuna Reeve. I know that people also love the Britax Safe and Sound, and my recommendation when you're choosing a car seat, to actually look through and see which car seats go from a newborn all the way to being converted into a booster seat. This is going to save you so much hassle in the future. The other option to a car seat for those initial days is a capsule. A capsule is non-essential, but the deal with a capsule is that it attaches onto the pram. You can take it off and pop it into the car seat right away, and it is really helpful sometimes. But the problem with a capsule is that it only lasts you, for me, it only lasted me about 5 months, and my son hated it. The capsule for me is going to be worth it for baby number 2, but just have a think about whether you would like to also ask for that on your baby registry. It's a non-essential, but it is a useful device if you don't want to disrupt your baby whilst you are in the midst of traveling and doing your thing. The next important thing to talk about, I suppose, is a pram. You have the option of a single to double pram, which I highly recommend, or just your single pram. Now, the massive mistake that I made being a first-time mom, not knowing anything that I'm doing or anything that I'm actually purchasing, is buying just a single pram. If you're just planning to have one baby, that's fine, but now I wish that I had bought a single to double pram, so that for this baby I could just attach another seat onto the pram and move on with my life. But now I have to think about buying a whole new travel system, and anyways, it's just major logistical regrets that I have, major purchasing regrets. So I highly recommend having a look at a single to double pram. The other thing that mums love, and that I have heard mums do from the very beginning, is instead of opting for the giant prams, buying a compact pram from the beginning. So for example, that is a Bugaboo B, or a baby, I think they call it yo-yos, baby Yazan yo-yo, something like that. They're just a small compact pram that's easier to pack into the car, take out, etc, etc. I personally have both. I have a Bugaboo B, and I also have a Bugaboo Fox, and I much prefer using the bigger pram just because it is sturdier, safer, and it's just, I don't know, I just really like it. It's my personal preference, but I know that other mums go the other way. So go into the store, try each pram out yourself, and see what you like. This category is, I guess, it can be a baby nursery category, but it is how you're going to entertain your child in the first days. Now, this is totally non-essential because a newborn does not need any entertainment, but some cute items to request might be a playmat and a jungle gym and a baby swinger or a baby bouncer, something that they can just like rock in, or just, I don't know, hang out in, or something that keeps them, I guess, entertained. Babies also love those like rattle toys, and just anything that you can pop above their head and they can kind of like hit like little monkeys, and it makes like a noise, or it makes some sort of crackling sound, or it's like a mirror. They do really love that stuff, but again, totally non-essential. The next thing that is really important, in my opinion, is finding a nice place for your baby to lay. Now, when it comes to this, there are infinite options. So I just mentioned having a baby bouncer or like a baby swinger, one of those things. That is an option for your baby to lay and rest. But just remember that when you have a baby and it is tilted any like this, so like even if it's in a capsule or a car seat or in one of those baby rockers, you need to pull the baby out of that. I think that it is about every 2 hours, the recommendation is. And just kind of wiggle them around, because apparently like their spinal fluid collects in the bottom of their spine, and it can cause things like SIDS, for example. So the other options of the swingers and bouncers, which, you know, they're nice. They're always nice to have around. Do I personally think that they're essential? No. My son is, you know, he was like with his swinger. He wasn't into it. He wasn't against it. It was just like a, you know, whatever item. But I could think totally different things with this baby. They're all so different. Anyways, so a swinger, a bouncer is a great place to lay. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can get a mat that's like a play mat that they can also do tummy time on and lay down on, or you can get a baby lounger. So this is a dockatot, which I bought for baby number 2, because I'm just buying nice bougie things for baby number 2, because I don't need anything for this baby because I've got it from my son. So it's just one of those things where I'm just buying all the things that I didn't necessarily need, and a dockatot is definitely one of those things, but I really like this. I also did have a cushy baby lounger. They're also really nice, but yeah, just some sort of lounger. Being a second-time mom, I really highly valued my baby lounger. I would even go as far as saying I would buy a baby lounger over a baby bouncer or a swinger. But again, all babies are different, and that is just my opinion. So the next category is going to be baby bathing or bathing and baby changing. Now I'm gonna start with the bathing stuff. You're going to need a baby bath or some sort of baby holder that you can pop the baby down on in the bath. What I used and what I will be using is actually like a physical mini bathtub that I put into my bathtub and fill up, and then I'm going to be putting like one of those little baby holders into that mini bathtub that the baby can sit on, because like that's just how I did it. It's just what I find most comfortable, and it's just what I'll be doing again. Now, you do not need any baby products for your baby, for your newborn at all. If you are someone who is like dying for like the scenty, super smelly baby, then just have a look at the labels, or I really encourage you to have a look at the labels and consider what is toxic and what is non-toxic seriously. Just because it's designed for a baby doesn't mean it's non-toxic. In fact, most baby products out there are very, very toxic for a baby and cause like irritation and stuff like that. So I highly recommend you just do some research into that if you're someone who's keen on like bubble baths from the get-go or something like that. One thing I do highly recommend is getting a little brush set for baby's cradle cap. If they get cradle cap, most newborns do, or I guess a lot of newborns do from what I've heard anyways, and this is just so you can brush its head after you have after its bath, and it gets rid of like some of the excess oils on the scalp that cause cradle cap. Likewise, if you already have the cradle cap, you I guess just like use the little brush and rub it on its head, and it gets rid of the cradle cap. For the nails and the nail biting side of it, you can either bite newborn nails off, or you can get a little baby file. I know Harker does some that people really enjoy. I personally am a biter. I'm happy to bite baby's nails off, but if you're a little bit nervous, I know a lot of parents get really tentative about doing that, then go for a little baby file or a little baby nail clippers, because their nails grow so fast. Next category is going to be clothing. Now I'm going to focus on newborn specific clothing. The most amazing, useful newborn clothes are zippy onesies, and if I was doing this thing all over again, I would just put the zippy onesies that I like onto the baby registry. My recommendation for clothing just in general is to not go overboard on the newborn clothing. I mean, of course you can if you want to, but mainly have 90% zips. And if you're like keen on showing off baby in like something super cute that you love, then dedicate like 10% to those little cute matching shorts and jumper sets, or I don't know, tutus, whatever it might be that you want to dress baby in. The next I guess essential to clothing a baby is little beanies. Their heads get really cold, especially if you're in a cold climate, so little teeny tiny beanies are great. Now if you're buying a bunch of zippies, chances are they will have the little mitts over the zippies, and I recommend that if you find like zippies that you love and they have like the little mitt, like little holders for their arms that you can pop over their arms. That is amazing, because all newborns do is like scratch their face. Like there's, honestly, my kid looks like he came out of war sometimes, because he just scratched up his face so much, and I'd be like, oh my god, I'm the worst mom. Anyways, so just cover the little hands up when you can, and if you are not planning on buying a whole bunch of zippy suits, then I recommend just buying like a bunch of mittens, or like requesting a bunch of mittens. So if you're starting a baby registry, if you're having a baby shower, and if you really want your life to be easy when it comes to clothing your baby in the middle of the night, I highly recommend not worrying about any swaddles and just getting a bunch of sleep suits. People, for some reason, when they know you're having a baby, the first go-to is buying a bunch of swaddles, and for me, I had so many of them, and I ended up using them as just like burp cloths, or like just rags or blankets or anything apart from the purposes of swaddling, because it was just really overwhelming for me to swaddle the baby. Once I figured, like once my baby was swaddled, he was an escape artist, and I would have to constantly check on him like every 2 minutes to make sure that the swaddle wasn't over his head. So in my opinion, they're just a bit of a hazard for some babies. For me, it was a SIDS hazard, and so I am just getting a bunch of sleep suits instead for this baby, and that's what I did for my son as well, is just have a bunch of sleep suits. These are just zippies. Oops. These are just zip down suits that you zip down, zip back up, and baby is cozy and comfortable, and most options that is for anywhere from newborn to 6 months have the option of unbuttoning for the sleeves for like the arms to come out. So this is a great way of clothing your baby, of keeping your baby warm and keeping your baby swaddled and nice and safe. And in my opinion, get your hands on as many of these as you can, because these are great. So that is it for clothing your baby. Now let's talk about feeding your baby. I mentioned burp cloths earlier. Do you need burp cloths? No, you do not need burp cloths. In fact, I just use a bunch of hand towels. But if you would like some burp cloths, then by all means request it on your registry. I use swaddles and swaddles and towels instead of burp cloths. And I don't find the need to purchase any burp cloths for this baby. But you as a mum is, I guess, the priority in this feeding, because if you're I guess comfortable, then the baby is comfortable. And when I'm talking about feeding baby, I am first of all going to talk about breastfeeding primarily, but I'm also going to touch on what you'll need for like formula feeding and stuff like that. But a lot of it does overlap, because if you're breastfeeding, you're likely going to be also pumping. Chances are you're going to be pumping anyway, so that kind of mixed feed method. I recommend personally getting yourself a really good breast pump from the very beginning. I had a Medela breast pump, and that breast pump broke, and I actually got mastitis from that breast pump breaking, and it was a horrible experience, because I couldn't get a breast pump when I needed it most. Anyways, it was a thing, okay? It was a thing as a new mom that I just like did not need. So finding a really good, reliable breast pump is a big recommendation of mine, and it is something that is truly worth the money. With the breast pump, you're going to also need, or a nice thing that For me, this is an essential. For you, it might not be, but for me, it just was because of the amount of milk that I was producing. A haka. A haka is an incredible newborn item, and I highly recommend one. Then you are also going to be, I guess, not necessarily needing, but it's something that you might want to keep in the back of your mind, are some nipple shields if you need some sort of guard between you and your baby when you're feeding your baby. Like if you've gotten to the point of your nipples like being so red, raw and bleeding, then get yourself a nipple shield or have one ready. I'm personally going to have one ready because I didn't realize how much babies actually destroyed your boobs. So yeah. If you're someone who is keen on nursing in public and you don't care about your boob being out, then that is amazing. That is incredible. And personally, I wish I had that bravery, but I do not. So I am going to buy myself or ask for a nice nursing cover that I can use so I can breastfeed in public. The other item that makes breastfeeding a lot easier and really is an essential in my opinion is a good breastfeeding pillow that you wrap around here and you pop the baby on. It just makes you hunch over a little less. It makes feeding a lot more comfortable. Now, you are also going to need some breast milk storage bags. These aren't necessarily a registry item. I mean, they can be, but just picking some up at the supermarket when you're there. Likewise, you're also going to need so many of those pads that you put on your boobs, and they're, what do you call them? They're like I think they're called breastfeeding pads, breast milk pads, whatever. They just stop the milk leaking through your top, and they're really good. And you need to either buy the reusable ones or the disposable ones. But no matter what you buy, if you buy the reusable ones, you'll need to buy heaps. If you need to buy the disposable ones, you need to buy heaps as well. My last recommendation for your registry is going to be a sterilizer. A sterilizer for all of your for all of your breast pumps, for all of your bottles, for all of your needs, just for the pacifiers, everything. I didn't have a sterilizer in the first few months, and you know, we did the old school method of just boiling water and, you know, boiling bottles, boiling pacifiers. And one thing that I did not realize is how much the boiling water actually destroys the pacifier. So in my opinion, it is a lot easier just to have sterilizer to put all of those things into, rather than having boiling all of your items, because the boiling process really does destroy your bottles, your pacifiers, the nipples, and the last thing that you want is to be seeing your baby chew through a pacifier and you not picking it up and, like, you know, them choking on the rubber or something like that. It can be super stressful. So I recommend using a sterilizer or going for a sterilizer over just boiling water. Alrighty, you guys, that was a really long, really extensive list of all of those baby registry items that you need. This is like pretty much everything, although I'm pretty sure that I would have missed out on some things. So let me know in the comments what you thought. Let me know in the comments what you also found to be essential. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.